We are back at 10 minutes after 8 o'clock, and this morning on Today's Health, do you eat to live or do you live to eat? Well, depending on your answer, you may be very pleased or a little worried about a diet that's getting a lot of attention. New research suggests that eating next to nothing, actually living at the brink of starvation, may be the secret to a long, healthy life. Want to live to 100? Well, what should you eat?
Broccoli, asparagus, lettuce, tomatoes,
organic milk,
beets,
nothing cooked,
carrots.
Could everyone be wrong? Could food itself be the problem? Considerable evidence suggests you might live a lot longer if you eat a lot less. It seems counter to everything we heard growing up.
Now look, Beaver, I made you a real good lunch today, and I want you to eat all of it.
Not so fast, Mom. As far back as the 1930s, lab mice on severe diets were shown to live significantly longer than their overfed pals. Same for spiders, worms, today, even monkeys. But there's no proof it works for humans yet. Paul McLaughlin and Meredith Averill are calorie restrictors. It's the promise of a long, youthful life that keeps them literally measuring out each meal with teaspoons.
I have to admit to planning my 125th birthday for absolutely decades now.
To ensure they're getting proper nutrition, both keep careful records of each morsel.
Whatever the scientific measures are, I also insist on a high deliciosity index. Our food must be delicious, and it is.
It's not really about restriction. It's about liberation. Liberation from the idea that the amount of food a person eats equates to the amount of pleasure a person has in life.
Paul is 5'11" and weighs just 133 pounds.
At 58, I have more energy than I ever did when I was in my 30s or my 20s.
And they supplement their diet with activity, including a daily dance session during breakfast at 6 a.m.
Who wouldn't really like to experience the joys of life for a little bit longer? And who wouldn't like to just be with loved ones just for a little bit longer? To be honest, I can't imagine living any other way.
Today, contributor Madeline Fernstrom is the director of the Weight Management Center at the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center. Madeline, good morning.
Good morning, Matt.
I'm shaking my head because I think it depends on your definition of the joys of life. I don't know if I want to live to 125 restricting what I eat. Give me a cheeseburger and a check right now, and I think I might take this. How widespread is this?
You know, there's only several thousand people in the country that espouse this calorie restriction diet, meaning that if you cut back your calories a lot, 25 to 40%, meaning if you eat 2,000 calories a day, cut back to 1,500, and you might have a chance of living longer.
Here's what bothers me about this is it seems completely counter to everything we were taught. If you look at the average lifespan of people in countries where food is plentiful and compare that to the average lifespan of people in countries where food is scarce, the people in the countries where the food is plentiful live longer.
Well, that's true. I mean, but there's something between obesity and starvation. And what this calorie restriction plan is less food than most of us are accustomed to. And these people, as we saw in our segment, are working really hard to meet their nutritional requirements.
So here's what you have to do if you want to join that club. You have to cut back 25, as you said, to 40% off your daily maintenance calories. Right. You have to sustain a weight at 10 to 25% below what's considered the healthy average.
Right. These are people who are taking the animal data, who seem to say if you eat less, you're going to live longer, and making it a human experiment. It's really hard to follow this plan and have nutrient sufficiency. It's really a problem.
But the guy was, what, 5'11", 133 pounds.
Right.
That seems way too thin to me.
It seems way too thin for what we're accustomed to seeing when we look at the degree of obesity here. His weight and height are actually in the low end of healthy, and he works very hard to maintain that. His protein sufficiency, vitamins and minerals. If you choose to do this, it's not for weight loss.
What prevents you from wasting away to nothing?
That's such a good question. I mean, we're really hardwired for survival. And in caveman times when we didn't have supermarkets, people, when there were periods of starvation, people would then have their metabolism reduced to promote longevity and cell life, so they'd be able to forage for food. So the body is very adaptive to fewer calories, so you don't starve to death.
Can you hurt your health doing this?
You can hurt your health if you don't pay attention to protein, to vitamins and minerals, and getting enough fluids. This is not about weight loss. It's not about turning into a rail. It's about good health. And if you don't feel good on this, that's a problem.
So what you're saying also, so when you say it's not about weight loss, so someone who is very much overweight should not watch this segment today and say, I'm going to start that. To even begin it, you should be at a pretty healthy weight.
Right. This calorie restriction is for someone at a healthier weight who goes, I want to be on the really lean end, so perhaps I'll live longer. It's different than a typical weight loss plan.
All right, talk to me about this derivative of red wine that is also kind of being equated to this calorie restriction issue.
Right. When we look at red wine, when we have this component resveratrol that is a component of red wine, carefully, it's not one glass of wine. It's bottles of wine that would have a similar effect on cell function.
All right. If there are people out there right now, Madeline, and they want to kind of put their foot in the water on this, you know, not dive into calorie restriction full-fledged, but just try it, how should they go about that?
The best way to do this is to evaluate your daily calories. If you see what your maintenance calories are and cut back, it's usually about 400 or 500 calories. And it can be hard or easy. Behind you, Matt, you'll see a bunch of food that doesn't look like much. And this is sort of mindless eating, say what we typically eat in a day. Not too much food there. But if you look behind me, you'll see that there's actually 1,500 calories worth of a lot of food. That's a lot of work, though, in pre-planning and preparing. So you can take your choice, but you don't have to restrict 25% of your calories. Even a little dip of 10%. If you save 100 or 200 calories, you'll lose some weight, make some healthful choices, and that can only be healthy for you.
And then find a weight and remain stable at that weight. Don't start going up, bouncing up and down.
Stable weight is most important. Aim for something you can actually accomplish.
Madeline Fernstrom, always learn something with you. Thanks very much.